So I'm going to talk to you today about the delivery of menopause care to rural and remote women using telehealth. Thank you so much to Danica and to all of the ladies of the CWA Executive for making time in their busy meeting to consider this topic, which, as you'll hear, has an enormous impact on the CWA membership. I'm here today because we have a huge problem. The women in your communities, teachers, business owners, farmers, mothers, shopkeepers, partners and friends. Many of them are suffering unnecessarily with symptoms that undermine their ability to function well in their work and relationships. Symptoms related to menopause. I'd like you now to picture in your mind some ladies that you know in their late 40s or early 50s and keep them in mind as I describe their experience. The symptoms of menopause can be crippling for some women. They include hot flushes, sleep disturbance, mood disorders, musculoskeletal aches and pains, sexual dysfunction, and urinary issues. There are many safe, effective treatment options available for these symptoms, so women shouldn't have to endure them, but often they just can't find the help they need. They, or even their GPs, may be confused about conflicting safety information they've heard. They may live too far from a doctor to easily seek help. And in a busy household, women will always put everyone else's needs ahead of their own, so her medical appointment gets put off till later. When she eventually does see a GP, it may be in a one-doctor town with a male doctor from a non-English speaking background who has a different cultural attitude towards menopause. She may be incorrectly told that her high blood pressure, breast cancer or headaches rule out any useful treatment options. Or she's told, "It'll pass. Try something over the counter from the chemist." She may even turn to the internet for information, sifting through a maze of websites, hysterical chat forums, and unscrupulous vendors who charge a fortune for products that have, at best, no evidence of safety or efficacy, or at worst may be harmful. So just how big is this problem? This study from the Women's Health Research Centre at Monash University was published in 2016. It aimed to determine the extent of this unmet need for effective menopause treatment in Australia, and the results are quite worrying. These graphs show the prevalence of moderate to severe hot flushes or vasomotor symptoms in women aged 40 to 65, which, as you can see, is up around 50% for women in their early 50s. Compare that with the graph at the top. This shows the use of hormonal therapy, which has proven effectiveness and safety for women in this age group. Yet the rates, as you see, are consistently low. The study estimated that almost 500,000 women in Australia were likely to be suffering from moderate to severe hot flushes, yet only around 15% of them is using safe, effective treatment. This leaves a pool of around 385,000 women with significant vasomotor symptoms who are not receiving effective treatment for their symptoms. To sum up the scope of this problem for Australian women then, symptoms can start well before the last period. So even though menopause is officially defined as when you've had 12 months with no periods, the symptoms like hot flushes can start a good 5 years beforehand or even more and go on for 5, 10 or even decades longer. Up to 80% of women will experience menopausal symptoms at some time during this menopause transition. And around 50% of women in certain age groups are experiencing moderate to severe hot flushes, as we just saw, but about 85% of them are not receiving effective treatment. And whilst symptoms go on for around 3 to 6 years on average in some women, they can go on for over 10 years. What about rural and remote women? Well, unfortunately, the picture gets even worse. The Australian Longitudinal Study on Women's Health is a survey examining the health of over 58,000 Australian women who've agreed to participate in the study for 20 years. The women in this study are divided into 4 different age cohorts and complete a survey every few years. This is the largest project of its kind ever conducted in Australia. In a 2011 report, which was released from this study, entitled Rural, Remote and Regional Differences in Women's Health, the following statements were made: that for most medical and other health services, use is much lower in remote and regional areas, and women experience considerably more difficulties with access than in major cities. Country women whose health is generally poorer than city women's also have less health care. Additionally, they stated that the use of complementary and alternative medicines is higher in regional and remote areas. Interviews with a small sample of rural women revealed some scepticism about conventional practitioners and belief in traditional practices that was reinforced by their social and rural network areas. So not only are your members dealing with high rates of debilitating untreated menopausal symptoms, they're also having much greater difficulty accessing medical care than their sisters living in urban areas. As a result, they have more frequently turned to unproven and potentially harmful unregulated treatments. In order to gain an idea of whether the experiences of CWA members was consistent with these findings, I conducted a survey earlier this year. Members were invited to participate in the survey through the CWA New South Wales e-News and the Country Women magazine. And almost 100 women completed the survey. I designed the survey on SurveyMonkey and it ran for 4 months earlier this year. It comprised of 9 questions which took around 3 minutes to complete. I asked for the ladies' age and postcode. I asked whether they'd experienced any symptoms and how severe they were. I asked them whether they'd sought treatment for their symptoms and from whom they had sought help and how far they had to travel. I asked were they satisfied with the treatment. And there was also some free text fields at the end that they could share their comments and experiences with me. Most of the women who responded to the survey had had menopausal symptoms at some time. Around 50% were aged 45 to 60, with most of the rest being older and only 3% being under the age of 45. This was the distribution of women who participated in the study. And of the women who responded, over 70% said that they'd seen a GP seeking help for their symptoms. Around 15% said they'd seen a specialist, and the rest stated other, which included pharmacists, naturopaths and other complementary therapists, the internet, friends and other sources. 20% said that they'd travelled more than 50 kilometres for treatment, and around 12% said they'd travelled for more than 100 kilometres for treatment. Several ladies even said that they'd travelled more than 200 kilometres seeking treatment. In response to the question, how severely do or did your symptoms impact on your ability to function in your daily life? 35% of respondents said moderately, but over 40% said quite a lot, severe or very severely. 75% had sought treatment for their symptoms, but unfortunately almost 40% replied that they were not very satisfied or very unsatisfied with their treatment. In the free text field, women were very generous in sharing their experiences of seeking help for their menopause symptoms. Some of the responses were quite worrying to read, and I was saddened to read them knowing that there are some effective treatments that would be available to help them. I'll leave this slide on screen for a moment for you to be able to read those responses. You can also pause this recording to read them in your own time. And here are a few more. It was particularly worrying to read comments like these ones at the end. It's tough and no one will talk about it. I desperately need to talk to someone and I just don't know where to go. So now that you have a fair idea of the scope of the problem from many of your members, How can we solve these problems for them? There's an unmet need for quality menopause care and there's poor access to services. It occurred to me during menopause consultations with my patients that I rarely needed to physically examine them. Occasionally they need a pap smear or they weren't sure of their blood pressure, but most of the important stuff was in the history. They usually also had a regular GP looking after them already. So I realised that by video conferencing, I could extend the services of the menopause clinic to women anywhere in Australia. This is not a new idea. Telehealth consultations with specialists have been around for a while, even though uptake has been low. However, expert menopause care is also provided by many knowledgeable GPs who take the time to thoroughly assess their patients' medical history and needs. So I came to realise that the solution to this access problem for many women could be to deliver menopause information and services via the internet. And so the idea for WellFem was born. This is what WellFem's all about. Healthy, happy women. Your women, the women in your community. Women have the right to be healthy and happy regardless of where they live. And this is my vision. This is why WellFem exists. So that's all sounding wonderful, but how does it actually work? Well, women can actually self-refer to this service using the website or via email, or they can be referred in by their GP. Shortly, the website will have a GP section full of information for general practitioners about the service and a section where they can easily fill in their patient's information and submit it quickly online. Bookings can be arranged via email or phone, and soon via an online booking system which will be embedded in the website. Once she's made her appointment, the woman will receive an email which has information about the service and a video conference link. She'll also be sent a calendar entry invitation, so if she has an electronic calendar, she can click on that and an entry will automatically go into the calendar with a reminder for 15 minutes prior to her appointment. At the appointment time, all she needs to do is click on the link embedded in the email to commence her consultation. To show you how easy this is, I've knocked up a little video for you here which explains just how simple it is to open your consultation. Hi ladies, here's a quick demonstration of just how easy it is for you to open your own WellFem consultation. Once you've made your appointment, you'll receive an email that looks just like this one, and it will have an embedded link here that you click on at the appointed time to open up your WellFem consultation, just like this. It automatically accesses your internet browser and takes you through to the video conference software program where you join as a guest, and then you take a photo of yourself by clicking there, write your name, continue, read, and then indicate your consent. And there you go. You enter into the waiting room. And then once the doctor sees that you're in the waiting room, they can click on the acceptance at their end to open up your individual consultation. So there's me, and here comes Dr. Alex.
Hello, Dr. Kelly Teagle.
Hello, Dr. Alex. How are you?
I am good.
Thanks for that, and thanks very much for demonstrating just how easy it is for us to have our own WellFem consultations at home.
That's okay, Dr. Kelly.
Okay, bye mate. You can hang up now.
Bye.
Bye. And there you go. It's child's play. During the consultation, the menopause doctor takes a thorough history which includes her symptoms, all the lifestyle and social factors, medical issues, medications, other therapies that she's engaging in which might impact on her symptoms or what treatments are available. She'll be offered information, resources, and a discussion of the treatment options that are relevant and safe for her. If she would like, prescriptions and investigations can be arranged and she can commence treatment right away. Or she may decide to share the detailed written report which she receives at the end of the consultation with her GP before deciding on a treatment option. So where's WellFem at the moment? WellFem is a very new service and trial consultations are already underway to prove the systems and to make sure that it's as seamless as possible an experience for people. I'm proud to say that CWA members can participate during the trial phase for free, and so I can not only help the ladies of the CWA, but they're also doing a great service for me in helping to prove the system and give me feedback on making things better for everyone. I anticipate full service launch early next year. I'd like to finish this presentation by letting you know a little bit about myself and why it is that I do what I do. As you can see, I grew up in the country and then went on to have a 20-year military career. And during that time, I studied medicine and also went on to do my qualifications in general practice. Since then, I've done postgraduate work in women's and reproductive health, and I've developed my special interest in menopause, which has led me now to working as a women's health practitioner here in Canberra, where I see a lot of women who are suffering from menopausal symptoms. Hi, so why is it that I developed a special interest in menopause? Well, to be honest, it was from personal experience. When I was 42, as a single mum with 2 small children, I started to develop quite severe night sweats. And even though I work as a ladies' doctor, it took me a long time to realise that I was actually undergoing an early menopause. So after that, I did a lot of reading, a lot of research, tried a few different treatments, and eventually managed to get my symptoms under control, and it turned my life around. So now nothing makes me feel better than being able to help other women who are suffering from dreadful menopausal symptoms and having them come to me and say, I feel like a new woman. I'd really like to help the women in your communities to turn their lives around as well and stop suffering needlessly from their terrible menopause symptoms. So I'd really love it if you could help me connect with those ladies and let me know how you think I can best help them. I look forward to visiting them and to visiting your communities soon. Meanwhile, keep an eye on the website and I'll keep in touch with you as best I can through email. Bye.